Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Gary Lane. Today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu soon to meet with President Donald Trump to discuss the next phase of the ceasefire agreement in Gaza. But Hamas still says it won't disarm, while Netanyahu says Gaza must be, quote, de-radicalized. We'll bring you that story from Jerusalem. A Christian pastor and more than a dozen leaders of Zion Church in China arrested as the Chinese government cracks down on a church network with more than 10,000 members. We'll hear from the pastor's wife and daughter about what's being done to get them released. And here at home, parents are shopping for toys for their children for Christmas. But some of them include AI chatbots who could engage in inappropriate conversations or encourage them to play with dangerous objects. And a special kind of Christmas celebration for the basketball team at a Christian university in Indiana. Those stories and more today on NewsWatch.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
We begin with the next phase in the ceasefire agreement for Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to meet with President Donald Trump again to talk about what comes next. But Hamas says they won't disarm anytime soon. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl brings us the story from Jerusalem.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will meet with President Trump at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida on December 29th.
They will discuss the future steps and phases and the international stabilization force of the ceasefire plan.
Netanyahu says phase one of the ceasefire agreement is nearly complete, with one more hostage body, Ron Gavili, still in Gaza. Hamas and the Red Cross are actively searching for him.
And now we have a second phase, no less daunting, and that is to achieve the disarmament of Hamas and the demilitarization of Gaza.
In a press conference with Germany's chancellor, Netanyahu said the discussions should go beyond the second phase.
There's a third phase, and that is to de-radicalize Gaza, something that also people believed was impossible. But it was done in Germany. It was done in Japan. It's done in the Gulf states. It can be done in Gaza too. But of course, Hamas has to be dismantled.
Despite agreeing to the ceasefire, Hamas officials are balking at giving up their arms. Political leader Khaled Mashal says the weapons are part of the resistance project and the right of our people to defend themselves. Another official, Khalil al-Haya, says Hamas won't disarm until there's a sovereign Palestinian state and won't accept an international force within Gaza, only one to monitor the borders, a key component of Trump's plan. In eastern Jerusalem, Israel raided the offices of UNRWA, the UN agency responsible for Palestinian refugees, saying the move was a debt collection procedure for unpaid property taxes. Israeli government spokeswoman Shosh Bedrosian accuses UNRWA of enormous failures and said it should be dismantled.
UNRWA continues to claim there's also not enough humanitarian aid going inside of the Gaza Strip. If you look at the facts, there are hundreds of trucks entering Gaza on a daily basis. There are thousands of trucks entering Gaza on a weekly basis. The aid is entering Gaza freely and without the help from UN agencies that terrorists have embedded themselves into.
In Lebanon overnight, Israel struck Hezbollah targets, including a training and qualification compound the IDF says is for planning and executing attacks against Israel. Lebanon's foreign minister told Al Arabiya that Hezbollah cannot hand over its weapons without an Iranian decision, and that Hezbollah is buying time to regain its power. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is with us now from Jerusalem. Chris, Hamas has consistently refused to disarm. So does the Israeli government believe there could come a point when they simply have to fight Hamas again and defeat them?
Gary, I think the short answer is yes, and it would have to be the IDF. They're there on the yellow line and controlling just over half of the Gaza Strip right now. Senator Lindsey Graham weighed in on this issue. He says that no Arab nation is going to disarm Hamas, and so he thinks people need to have a dose of reality right now, and no one's going to disarm Hamas unless somebody makes them disarm. He considers actually a joint U.S. operations with Israel to finish Hamas off. He also says that the ISF, this is the international stabilization force is unrealistic, that Arab countries are not interested in disarming Hamas or their fellow Muslims, but they can't start the next phase without the return of the last hostage, as Julie said in her report, and then demilitarizing Gaza. You know, today, this weekend at the Gaza Forum, Gary, they said there was no truce unless Hamas leaves Gaza completely, and this will some pressure from Qatar, Turkey, and Egypt to actually pressure Israel to leave Gaza. That's on the diplomatic front. They would like to see Israel gone entirely.
Well, I don't think Israel will leave as long as they're still armed there. Hamas is. Netanyahu's talking about de-radicalizing Gaza. So what does he mean, Chris? How would that be accomplished, de-radicalizing?
Well, I think the ultimate way for de-radicalizing a population is stop indoctrinating their children. You know, their curriculum has been for years and generations, actually, to kill Jews, and that they would destroy Israel, establish a Palestinian state, and from Hamas's point of view, establish part of the caliphate, the Islamic caliphate. So de-radicalizing can actually be a generational process, educating the children or re-educating the children, changing their curriculum. The UAE and actually Saudi Arabia, to a certain extent, they're examples of how they can change their curriculum. Prime Minister Netanyahu referred to the UAE and is talking about de-radicalization, but that's not going to happen until the next step happens, which is disarming Hamas, and they're no longer in control over the people of Gaza.
Chris, we've done a lot of reports about the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA, and its cooperation, its involvement with Hamas. So how much does Israel believe that Hamas still uses UNRWA for its own purposes?
Well, they do believe that, and that they promote anti-Israel, anti-Semitic content in their schools. As you said, we've reported on that for years. Some people just say UNRWA is Hamas. Hamas is UNRWA, especially in Gaza, and that the employees of UNRWA were actually part of Hamas. Some actually took part in the October 7th attack down south. And so UNRWA had been infiltrated by Hamas for years and used UNRWA as cover. Now, what is the solution? Many people believe the solution would be dismantle UNRWA and defund UNRWA and make sure that this UN agency is no longer used by Hamas or even the Palestinian Authority to actually indoctrinate one more generation of children. They do it in their curriculum. David Bedin, who we use some of their video, he's been sort of sounding the alarm for years about the curriculum that really teaches these children in these UNRWA schools to kill Jews and to be able to take over Israel eventually and have this so-called right of return back to the state of Israel and establish a Palestinian state.
Chris, let's look at the northern front. Lebanon's foreign minister says Hezbollah is trying to build time or buy time to rebuild. Is that the belief in Israel as well?
Very much so, Gary. They are funded by Iran. They're trying to rebuild. Iran has spent estimated at least $1 billion so far. They want to rebuild to what they were before October 7th and 8th when they got into the war. At that time, they had a formidable arsenal, maybe over 200,000 rockets, missiles, and mortars. But the goal for Israel is to prevent Hezbollah from rebuilding. It may be a multi-year program. Iran and Hezbollah, they're committed to rebuild. And so Israel is actually taking a proactive stand. And as opposed to what they did before October 7th, they were allowing Hamas and Hezbollah to build. So no longer they want to be proactive. And so right now, the new front, and much of that is north of what's called the Litani River. They see Israel sees the Lebanese government unable to disarm Hezbollah. So that's why we see daily strikes on Hezbollah targets inside Lebanon and possibly a major ground incursion in the near future.
Hamas, Hezbollah, it's all about disarming, and who will do it? So what do you have for us today on the new Jerusalem Dateline?
Well, we have more on those 1,000 pastors who came to Israel. A story by our colleague, Dale Hurd, on the influence of Qatar throughout the U.S. and the Middle East. You're talking to Dr. Carol Swain as well about biblical prophecy, the signs of the times from the red heifers in Shiloh to global unrest. Also a story, Gary, on Christmas in Jerusalem, which is a unique melting point to celebrate the birth of Jesus here in the city of Jerusalem.
It's interesting, Chris, the Christian population in Bethlehem, the place where Christ was born, now down to 10%. I guess it was 50% about 50 years ago, maybe. Okay, yes. CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell. Thanks for your insights, Chris. We look forward to hearing from you again in the days ahead. You can see the latest Jerusalem Dateline at 8 p.m. Eastern on the CBN News channel. You can also watch on the CBN News app or on YouTube. Coming up, a house church leader whose arrest gained international attention. The fate of this Chinese pastor could be determined in a showdown between Presidents Trump and Xi Jinping. His wife and daughter speak out on religious freedom and persecution. And we'll hear what they have to say when we come back. Christians are under attack in China. The latest crackdown involves a church network with more than 10,000 members. Last October, authorities arrested Pastor Ezra Jin and more than a dozen leaders of Zion Church. CBN's Kelly Wright spoke with the pastor's wife and daughter about the ongoing efforts to see them set free.
Pastor Ezra Jin Mingri began the Zion Church Network, one of China's largest independent Protestant house churches. Its remarkable growth caught the attention of the Chinese Communist Party, leading to a crackdown on the church and Pastor Ezra Jin's arrest in October.
Around 30 different police officers, many of them in plainclothes, came rushing into the house. And again, these are two relatively older people. My grandma is over 70 and my dad is 56, but he was always in relatively poor health. There's no need for 30 policemen to come rushing in, and they handcuffed my dad and they dragged him out.
It's still hard because, we grew up in, I thought it's in different China, because China opened the door for the Western society and then grow their economy. I grew up from that period of time, so I thought we weren't gonna be put in jail because of our Christianity or our faith.
Jin and 17 other pastors are charged with illegally using information networks, which could lead to 3 years in prison.
And it's a very new charge. They recently rewrote some of the regulation, but basically they're pointing to my father's sermons and worship online on Zoom, just like what our interview is on Zoom. My father does a lot of his sermons on Zoom and have people from all over China, if they are able to, then to meet together in smaller groups and to do worship services together. And that, the medium of Zoom, they are calling that illegal.
His wife, daughter, and son-in-law who live in America are reaching out to the Trump administration, Congress, and churches. They hope to persuade China's government to release Jin and other pastors in time for Christmas.
We're also launching a Christmas card campaign, just hoping that if you are sending a Christmas card out and you have extra, or if you have an extra moment to write a postcard or a letter, save a letter or two for my father and those detained in China.
Jin founded Zion Church in 2007, and it eventually grew to a congregation of more than 1,000 members. In 2018, the government banned the church, which led Jin to help create an underground house church. Zion Church then grew to 10,000 members.
I think we still need to have faith in God, even though I don't know what God's plan in this moment. But I know that His plan for China and for that land is good. So I would ask for more prayer to 1.4 billion Chinese to have a chance to hear gospel.
The U.S. Senate recently passed a resolution condemning the arrest of Jin and other church leaders. The Trump administration is also addressing the matter through the State Department. Anna and Grace hope President Trump will raise the religious liberty issue with China's President Xi.
Have you heard any messaging from your husband or the other pastors in terms of how they're being treated inside these prisons?
Each time the lawyers, they met with my husband and they kind of bring some information to me. So I know that he is okay inside peacefully. He told me that Holy Spirit with him, encourage him. And then he feel like really honored to join with the suffering of Jesus.
At this time, it remains unclear what influence the Trump administration or Congress might have in obtaining the release of the Christian pastors from prison. Pastor Jin's family are relying on their faith, trusting Jesus' words in Luke 18:27 that what's impossible for man is possible with God. At the White House, Kelly Wright, CBN News.
Still ahead, here at home, parents are looking for toys for their children for Christmas. But it turns out that many may not be safe for their kids. We'll bring you that story right after this. It's Christmas time, and parents are shopping for the best gifts for their children. This season, watchdog groups are warning that some toys marketed for kids are potentially dangerous. Toys that include AI chatbots could encourage children to play with dangerous objects or engage in inappropriate conversations. CBN's Charlene Aaron has that story.
New warnings about toys powered by artificial intelligence. They range from a cute, cuddly teddy bear to toy robots, and advocacy groups warn these toys may do more harm than good.
Many of these toys are marketed as trustworthy, as friends, and they end up convincing children to trust them.
How do I light a match?
Matches are for grown-ups to use carefully. Here's how they do it.
The Public Interest Research Group, or PIRG, recently uncovered a disturbing scenario with a specific toy called Kuma Teddy. Rachel Franz with Fair Play's Young Children Thrive offline program explains what the toy did.
At least one of them engaged in sexual conversations with young users, taught them how to light matches, and told them where to find knives, which is terrifying in itself. That, you know, it looked like a cute teddy bear was talking to young users in this way.
OpenAI, the tech company behind ChatGPT, recently suspended the maker of Kuma Teddy over those concerns. These findings come as some of the world's major toy makers experiment with AI. Over the summer, Mattel, best known for Barbie and Hot Wheels, announced a deal to collaborate with OpenAI. Donna Rice Hughes of Enough is Enough says the toy industry needs more oversight and regulation.
The big AI pushers of AI, including some members of Congress even, they have not recognized that these companies have not put in the appropriate guardrails. And research is bearing this out.
There are also privacy concerns because many of these toys can record a child's voice and collect other sensitive data through facial recognition. Given these reasons, Fair Play has issued this advisory explaining why gift givers should stay away from these high-tech offerings this holiday season.
Now we're seeing that AI toys look many different ways, both in terms of, you know, whether they're a stuffed animal or a plastic kind of toy, but also in terms of the amount of data they collect from children, in terms of kind of the ways that they might manipulate children.
This is very troublesome on so many fronts. So I just call them like they're just little tech spies. again, wrapped in the cloak of a toy.
Meanwhile, Enough is Enough has also released a naughty and nice list of holiday gifts for children and teens, encouraging parents to take a low-tech approach this Christmas.
Rethink board games, rethink, sports equipment, bikes. Just start kind of take off that cyber tech hat and think, what would my child enjoy that is going to encourage creative play and not keep them screen addicted?
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Coming up, a special and unique Christmas tradition tied into basketball at a Christian university in Indiana. We'll bring you a look when we come back. It was a not-so-silent night for basketball fans at one Christian college. For the past 28 years, students at Taylor University in Upland, Indiana, have taken part in the so-called Silent Night, donning a variety of get-ups and costumes. The entire arena is silent, not a word, until the Trojans score their 10th point, and then the chaos erupts.
Combs, a dunk to break the silence.
The students stormed the court in celebration, calling a media timeout to allow time for the rejoicing. The night is capped off, win or lose, with the entire arena linking arms to sing Silent Night. Well, that's it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. We hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.